welcome to the Paint with Heart Studios. I'm Cindy Harrison, your artist in residence and host of Paint with Heart, where we do free art lessons every Sunday afternoon, just about at 3 p.m. Eastern. And I always do it with my bestie. Let me introduce you to Melissa Reyes.
Hello there. I'm Melissa Reyes. Today, I'm the Dark Lady. And we are painting a great project. Our theme of the week is risk. So sometimes we take risks, and sometimes that's stepping outside of our comfort zone. And for me, that is painting this project. So I thought if I dressed up a little bit, it might be a little easier, but it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And that's because Cindy makes it so much fun. So that part is not risky at all. Definitely quite comfortable when I'm in the classroom with Cindy. So today is going to be awesome. So thank you everybody for being here. And thank you, Cindy, for coming up with this fantastic project. I can't wait to get started.
Thank you, Melissa, and me too. I love doing hats. I'm fascinated with hats, and I love your hat, by the way. That is what you said, that was vintage?
This was handed down to me from my mom and from my aunt, and it's a fur and satin cap from about 1935.
Wow.
So I took it out of the box for today, and it's rather warm. I'm going to be taking it off in a moment. And then I have a cameo on here that my mother gave me.
That is, I just love that. And so,
like
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's so styling. So moving on, because of my fascination with hats and that we chose Dark Lady for this week, I came up with this little ditty. This Dark Lady who's in mystery. She's got a one of those styling hats and a nice feather fan. Ooh, so we're gonna show you how to do that. And thank you for joining us today. This time I started with a canvas panel, but the original I did on canvas, this is a wooden panel. The original I did on a canvas panel. And I take a napkin. I bought these napkins, and what I did was I pulled apart the layers. This only had a 1-ply, so this is actually called a 2-ply napkin. You had the design ply on the top, and you had a white ply on the bottom. So basically, that these were stuck together, and I pulled them apart. Get down to your design level here, and that is what you will decoupage onto your surface. So that's what goes onto your surface. Then after I decoupage that on, I actually trim this off with an emery board or a sanding pad, and I just rub the emery board. Don't go sideways, go up and down, or just down, until you break off all the paper. And then let it, you're ready to go. So I covered it with decoupage underneath and on top. Let that dry overnight, trim off your edges, and transfer on your design. Because this has dark and light areas, you have to use both types of transfer paper, the dark and the light. And now we can base coat. The hat is base coat with zinc. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. I would probably put 2 coats of that on here. So when you decoupage your napkin on, I like using the napkin formula, the decoupage napkin formula. And it will wrinkle, but that kind of adds character to the piece. And it's okay. And this is Halloween, so wrinkles are good. While that's drying, I'm going to move down to the hair. And I've made the hair grape juice. Black on black is very difficult, so I figured if I made it purple and I put black on top of purple, it would be easier to see. It would be like a purple highlight. Because nobody needs to watch me base coat unless there's tips and tricks that I share with you. Like here's a tip. If you're base coating and you load your brush up and you've got all this paint on this brush, you can see how much paint I've got on my brush. And you don't want to put that right up to the edge, because if you make a ridge there, then your hat's going to grow. So what you do is you start inside and work toward that edge in both directions. So you have, by that point, you're just a smooth bit of paint right out at that edge. And then you can work the rest out in the center. That's how you avoid making ridges on the edge of your design. So that's a tip that will help beginners, I think. Or some people who've been painting a while wondering, what do I do with those ridges? My patterns grow. I start with a line drawing that's 2 inches and I end up with a painting that's 4. You know what I mean? And it happens. It does. They know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm saying. So, yeah, if I didn't mention it, I'll do it again, that there is a coat of decoupage on top of the napkin. So that does lend itself for a, somewhat correctability, not a lot, because it still is napkin. And that's a sheer thin piece of paper. And that's the other thing too, when doing the napkin decoupage, you'll want to make sure that your background is a neutral color. Okay, so this here is wood. I base coated the wood with a coat of light buttermilk, at least 1, if not 2 coats of light buttermilk, before I decoupage my napkin over it. If I had just gone over it with this, it would be darker and the wood grain might show through. On canvas, the canvas is white, so when you decoupage over it, you're fine. But any napkin that has white, like a white background, becomes transparent when decoupaged onto a surface. So you want to always make sure you start with a light neutral color background before you decoupage over it.
Did you separate the layers of the napkin?
Yep, separate the layers of napkin. Do you want to demonstrate that? Show them your napkin.
Here's my napkin, which I cut to be just a little bit bigger than my piece of canvas, which is not base coated. Thank you for saying that before I started base coating it really quick. Okay, it's just big enough to go over the edges all the way around.
Okay, so now you went to a corner and you tried to separate it. And
yeah, I was like,
right?
It's really hard. Yes.
So get your 2 pieces of tape, and you want them long enough that you can roll them into themselves. Perfect. The second piece you're going to put on your other index finger. Now you're going to put them in the corner of your paper, but obviously...
My finger in the middle, or...
No, it doesn't have to be, but you're going to want to put them on an area because it will tear the napkin. So you want to be careful that you put it in a little area that's going to be overlapping so that you don't need it on your piece.
Do I?
Yep. Yep. Now pull.
Oh my gosh, it's coming right apart. So that starts it.
Yep, and then you can take the tape off gently and finish the rest. Isn't that awesome?
See what I said? See how she just makes it so easy. There's no risk involved. Takes out all the worry that I have to figure out sitting here. How am I going to do this without ripping it? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So
now I'm Now I'm laying it flat. Now that I've got it started, I'm going to peel off the white side very gently the rest
Yep.
of the way.
Yep.
If I just held it here and pulled it, that would have been bad.
Well, you
because for me.
very, very careful, but yeah, you can do this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But thank you for demonstrating it, because I didn't want to pull apart another napkin, but it's okay. That's how you do that. Now I'm going to base coat the face with Fleshtone. If you want to bring the face all the way down, you can, or you can just kind of trail it off, because we are not putting on a mouth or the bottom of her nose. We're going to put a fan over her face, over her mouth and nose, and all you're going to really see is the bridge of her nose and her eyes. She's mysterious. That's why we call her Dark Lady. So you can kind of trail that down, but I wouldn't worry too much about the bottom 3/4 inches or 1/2 inch down there. And we will do at least 2 coats on this. And the crinkles in the napkin really kind of give it that an eerie old lady feel. So go ahead and do that and then come back. Now's the time to watch all those scary movies. Which reminds me, Melissa, you have a Halloween episode of...
Oh, yes. Yes, we have Spooky Tinseltown Tales, and it's the 4th year in a row. So I'm very excited about it. Cindy, this is your 2nd year on Tinseltown, Spooky Tinseltown Tales. And so I have guests coming on. The Joe Moe, he's an expert in horror films and props, and has worked in behind the scenes and horror movies.
Did he do makeup? Did he do makeup for some of those?
Well, the makeup, but doing the prosthetics and stuff like that. And then he's best known for, he was the caretaker until the death of, I don't know, his Uncle Forrest, was it Forrest Whitaker? Forey? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember him mentioning Forrest.
You know, a really famous, not either of those, a real famous horror movie actor, but he also was known for Mad Movie Magazine or whatever, something like that. So anyway, I have to go get all my, it's been a year since I've thought about this stuff, because it's not my forte, it's just something I like to talk about at Halloween time, you know? But this is a good friend of mine since college days, so you know, a really long time, like 30 years, and every year he comes on the show and we talk and he tells me what he does, and he's still very involved in this community, and he has actually directed and written a movie himself called Red Velvet, and so it's neat. And he also he works at this auction house where they that's his day job, where he writes the descriptions for all of the items that go up for auction. It's kind of like a Christie's or one of those places, but it's mostly movie memorabilia. So he's just so interesting, and he knows so much about that movie genre of horror and scary films from the very beginning to current movies. So he is just a wealth of information, and he's fun. He's met everybody, and so he's got a lot of pictures of people, and he has this annual event that he, you know, curates. So it's kind of cool.
And we're wearing costumes too.
Yes, we're wearing costumes, and I think Cindy's is going to be the scariest. I'm really, really nervous. I think I'm going to be having nightmares about it, Cindy.
I don't think so.
I think so. So you have to come check it out.
But yeah, you can go watch the replay on her YouTube channel. So once we get this on and blow dry, we're going to put on the line that comes down and comes forward, so it separates the bowl from the brim. You can put the lines that separate the rolls of the hair her eyes, the bridge of her nose, her eyebrows, and that little ear curl. So we will do that. On Paint with Heart, every week I send out an email with a list of the supplies that are needed for the upcoming class with a photo of what that class is, the finished painting. So last week I put out an email and it would have a picture of this and all the supplies needed to do it. And I also offer paint boxes of the month, which will have, it would have the tissue paper. I believe it had a canvas panel in it and some product that we're going to use at the end to make her eyes glossy. That should be really cool. And I also sell some of the other products on my website. Okay, the next color I'm going to take out is Burnt Sienna. And I'm going to use my fine liner. I really don't want to use a 20. I'm going to use a 10-aught. I'll put this one back. I'm going to use my 10-aught. And I'm going to outline all these features. When you do the eyebrows, I'm going to do it in strokes like how eyebrows would grow. So some of the flesh tone is going to show through. And they kind of go and lay down. They start going up and then they start laying down. And it might appear it's a little dark right now, but we're going to fix that in a second. When you do the eyebrows, what you're looking for is you have this dash arch. You want almost straight up and down, and then as they come away from the eye, they angle downward. So that is the way it looks. You can focus that. Enlarged. So they start up and then they start going down, 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 down until they're little dots on the end. So that's how I did her eyebrows. Once you have that on, I'm going to go over one more time with the flesh tone over the whole thing. The burnt sienna that we already have out, I'm going to do that shading, the easy shading by pre-wetting your underneath the hat. Pick up on the corner of your brush and go against the hairline and bring it under the hat. And the thing with the pre-wetting on this is that it'll go into those cracks and give her a really old and eerie look. Now you might like that and you might not. So when that's done, I'm going to go over to the ear. And I'm using my 3/4 inch, but if you want to use your 12 for this, you can use your 12. I'm going against that line that I made. Sometimes when you pre-wet, the water travels a little further than you want it to. And you can use your mop and mop it out, lighten that up if you want to. Blow dry that. Now I'm going to go down to, well, let's do the 3/4 inch and do the side here. I went down the left side. So that's what we're going to do with the 3/4 is go down the left side. I'm going to go under the ear, under the hair, along the top of the ear. And let's put a little bit on the earlobe. I'm going to mop. Make sure that the area is dry before you do the other side of it. Okay. Last but not least, carry it down over here. If you want to do a pre-wet, you can do a pre-wet, but I'm just going to take whatever's left on my brush and bring it down. And ending flat against that side of her face with the brush. Blow drying that. And now what I'm going to do is take my 3/4 inch, my number 12, and under the eyebrow down the side, the left side of the left line and the right side of the right line. Pick up some of that burnt sienna, and I start about halfway under the eyebrow and bring it down. And I'm going to go over to the other one, and same thing, about halfway. And it's a chisel. I'm sliding it in, and I'm sliding it towards that nose line and bringing it down. And I know that the lines and the crinkles in the napkin make it a little harder, but you can do it. Let's soften that. I made the one on the left a little wider because I'm putting the highlight from the right side. The other thing I'm going to do is with that liner brush and some of the burnt sienna, there's a little, that eyelid crease that's right above the eye. I'm going to do a little eyelid crease right above the eye. And if you're afraid that burnt sienna will be too dark, you can mix it with your Fleshtone. And just soften that. Now, if you have some grape juice still out, I'm going to pick up the grape juice, a little bit of water, and I'm going to do those hairs right over the burnt sienna. Again, I'm not trying to cover the burnt sienna in its entirety. I'm just adding some grape juice. I'm going to go ahead and base coat in the eyes with Snow White. And for that, I'm going to use my 3 round. If you'd like, with this white, go ahead and add a little pearl earring. I did a pearl stud. When that's dry, and I'll dry it quickly, we'll do a second coat. Now I'm going to wash over the eye with some water, pick up on the corner of my brush some zinc, wipe off most of it on my palette over here. And then I'm going to go across the top of the eye. If I have too much, I'll wipe it off with my paper towel. So take it and go across the top of the eye. Go get a new load, water, pick up some of that zinc. Go across the top of the eye, mop it out. Isn't that kind of ghostly looking? It's like, ooh, scary. When that's dry, you go in, trace the rest of your eye, or you can eyeball it, no pun intended. The iris and the pupil. And if you need to put on the eyelashes to know the direction, you can do that at this time. I picked up a color for the iris that matched my napkin. I wanted that tangerine color, so I used tangerine plus moon yellow. It's kind of a 1-to-1, so really you just need so much of a smidgen of a dot. And my round brush, and I brush mix until I think it looks like that spider. So you can do whatever color matches your napkin or whatever color you want. She's kind of looking up at us, so you can see the bottom of her pupil and maybe a little white below it. If she was looking straight at you, you would not be seeing the full bottom circle of the pupil. I'm sorry, of the iris. It kind of makes her eyes glow, is the way I look at it, which is what, again, I'm looking for, that eerie feel. Now we need to deepen the top of that. So I'm going to go back to my flat brush and the burnt sienna. If it's dry, you can pre-wet. And I'm going to go across the top. From one side to the other. With that burnt sienna. And you can wop, make sure you don't get any in the white. With the round brush, I'm going to pick up some of the moon yellow and some of the snow white. And brush mix that to make a lighter yellow value. And then I'm going to just do a little stroke here on the bottom, right side, left side of each eye. Just on the bottom. See if I can raise that up so you can see it.
But I will show you a good though.
Oh, let me see. Hold on.
My green screen is kind of weird.
Cool. Very nice. Yep. You're doing perfectly.
I don't like her not having a hat on.
Okay, fine.
But okay. Yeah, I'm gonna put the hat on.
Yep. You're doing perfect.
I'm liking it. I love that wrinkly effect for the face.
Cool.
Yeah, you're so smart, Cindy.
Kind of gives it that creepy look. I like it. If you want to add just a touch with your fine liner, your 10-aught liner, just a little bit of white there, you can do that. Little white stroke. But I'm going to take my fine liner and I'm going to take the burnt sienna and I'm going to outline the bottom of around the outside of the iris. And if the iris touches the bottom lid, go right ahead and outline that right up the other side. Then I'm going to add the black iris. So lamp black. And use your 3 round again. If you didn't bring that right up there. Blow dry that. Okay, now we're gonna outline the eye with lamp black. But what I did is not do the center. If I can get this, the center of the bottom area, I left burnt sienna right under the iris. So I just brought a little bit in from the outside, a little bit in from the inside, and I did outline. As a matter of fact, I did not. I just put little dashes of the eyelashes so that some of that purple would show up underneath it. So the black outline is from the corners just to the iris or a little bit in, and then just the eyelashes, and also do the eyebrows. Short lines of lamp black. 10-aught brush, a little bit of moisture in your brush, some of that black, and I'm going to take it from the outside and a little bit in, inside just to the iris. We'll turn it around. Outside, a little bit in, and just to the iris. And then what isn't covered by black, we can crispen up with the burnt sienna. On our lashes, I'm going to pull little curved lines up from there. It looks like I put some grape juice. Grape juice first and then that. So our outline with grape juice, the top of her eye. And then with the black, you can pull up some of those eyelashes. Now there's another trick to this that I played with after. And again, it's all about taking risks and trying different things and seeing what kind of results you'll get. So I went ahead and I picked up my filbert comb. Remember, we use these for the cat hair and some other areas that we wanted to have little lines on. And if you use that and pick up some of that black, and you're going to splay the hairs out so that they're very loose, you can take that and add some of those eyelashes with that. Stay up on the tip and then pull some, make them thicker. Like, is it Maybelline or CoverGirl eyelashes? Make them thicker. And you can do the same with the eyebrows. and you don't have to work so hard. That is it. Her eyes are done. The last thing I would do on that will be at the very end. I would cover that with either some liquid glass or your glossy accents. And that'll create that glossy shine in her eyes. And I put that over the whites of her eyes too.
That's going to be so cool. Cindy, they already look so incredible.
So isn't it neat?
Yes.
Now you can put eyeshadow on her. I didn't, but yeah, so that's her eyes. I also put a little dot of the Snow White right in the upper right of her pupil. So there you go. So that's that. See? Oh, look at her, beautiful. Look at her gaze. Oh my gosh, Melissa. That is beautiful.
Whoa.
Now for the cheeks. I didn't want really rosy cheeks, so I stayed with the burnt sienna Fleshtone mix. And you're going to brush mix it on your palette. Wipe off the excess on a dry piece of paper towel. Okay. And just gently scratch the surface of her high cheekbones. And then we'll wash out our brush. I'm going to show you on her ear, her little guy here. If you want to side load that with some zinc, first, I'm going to do a little C-stroke just at the bottom of that ear. And then I'll take my liner brush and some lamp black and just add a little line of that and mop it out. If you want to line the top, you can line the top with zinc. If it's too harsh, just go back with your white and kind of soften it by putting a coat of white on top of the black. That's the earring. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the hair. And I wanted her to have gray hair, but I didn't want it just plain old gray. I wanted to bring another color into the painting. So I did the grape juice. First off, I'm going to highlight, but the highlight on this is grape juice plus Snow White. And if you dip your brush in the purple, the grape juice first, okay? Then you go and dip your brush in the Snow White. You'll make a nice light purple color. You'll take that color and you go across, slide it down and go across on top of the ear. And then you'll do the same up here. Slide it down and be on top of that line that you drew on from your separating the layers of hair. And this can go right to her temple if you wish. We're going to do the same on this other side. Pick up that mix, start at the bottom. I'm going to work a little bit from her face and just I'm not twisting my brush. I'm going to end on the chisel. So the water end of my brush is touching the next line. Pick up a little bit more and do the same. Start at her face and the water end of my brush is touching that line. It never goes all the way up to the next fold of hair, if you will. Same here, come across the bottom and stop there. Come across the bottom and stop there. And the last one, we can make a little wider. And that one is I'm going to start on an angle here. So the actual light part of the brush is going to be just where the purples meet. And you have to do that patting, pat, 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 because all the wrinkles in the canvas and the napkins. And that one can be a little brighter. I didn't put any at that little piece that's behind her ear. I did not put any there. Next, I'm going to take that feather filbert comb with the same mix, and I'm going to add lines, but I'm centering them this way and that way. So I'm going to start with a light touch, get a little heavy, lift off. Light touch, get a little heavy, lift off. And that one I'll do real lightly. You can go either way, but you want heavy and you want heavier lines in the middle. Now I'm going to do the same on here. When I come in, it's like an airplane going vroom. So it's vroom. So light touch, get heavy, thick lines, and then lift off. Light touch, get heavy, lift off. Light touch, heavy, lift off. If the highlight doesn't show up, just go ahead and add more white, and at least to the to this side over here, I would definitely tickle some of that white. I would definitely tickle some of that white on this side. It's not straight white, it's mixed with the purple, the grape juice. Whatever I had in my brush, I just added more white to it. You want to add a little bit in here, but I really don't want a whole lot on the side because there's no sun shining on the side. Okay. Now I'm going to blow dry that and take your 12 flat and a bit of that black. You want to work out the black on your palette so that it is quite see-through, very see-through. And we're going to go under the hat. If you want to do the pre-wet technique, then go right ahead. I'm going under the hat, and then I'm also going to go under each curve. And mop. Try to keep your brush on the hair, not on the face as you do this. I'm going to also add a bit of that against the hair of the face line here. So I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to bring it up against the face. And you do little swoops when you get to this area where you stopped the highlight, you start the shade. I'm going to add a little bit over here. See how the curls are coming now? You know, that you're getting that motion of the hairstyle of the period. Now we get to take our feather brush in the black. Go back this way and pull out on the black, squiggle that out and start to pull lines from the outer edge towards the highlight that you put on there. But you don't want to cover all of it, you're just overlapping it ever so slightly. And then you're going to pull it from the other direction as well. And if it goes over onto her skin a little bit, that's okay because we have hair that starts over her skin a little bit and pulls up. Same on this side. And I pull from the outer edge and I lift off before I get towards the center. This side, I wouldn't go over her skin. What I'm thinking of doing is adding, you know how they have those curly curls? So if you take some of your black and you can add some of these curls. It's hard on the with the wrinkles, but add some loose hairs there. I think that would be good. And you can also pick up some of that grape juice and put some of the grape juice in. Softens her face a little bit. So that's it for the hair. The flower here, if you have some white cardstock, grab some white cardstock and we're gonna paint one side of it with grape juice and the other side of it with lamp black. It is probably, if you had a piece 6 inches by 4 3/4, so 6 by 5 piece.
Cindy,
Yes.
is the area that you're painting blue right behind the area you painted black?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing my best to do that. So I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm just going to add a few thicker lines of the black coming from the outside. And if you bring a couple of them in through the light, because some of that light got a little solid, so makes it look more hairy. Okay, so on your piece that's black on one side and grape juice on the other, I'm gonna go, I have this template of circles. I started with a 1 7/8, then I went down to the 1 5/8, And now I'm going down to the 1 1/4. And that might be a big jump, but that's what I'm going to do. To draw these leaves on, they're kind of like teardrops. You can draw whatever you draw freehand or in the line drawing on the website. But I'm going to put in, I'll just do this for now. And I did 3 sizes. And the height of these is about, one of them is about 1.5 inches from the base to the tip. The other one would be almost 2 inches. And that one's like 1 3/8. When this is dry, if you want to go over, if you did not cover your graphite lines, you can go and erase over them. But I think we mostly covered them. What I'm going to do is take out the graphite. So let's take out a puddle of that. And I'm going to use my 3/4 inch wash. And you can pre-wet. I'm doing the bowl area, that big area here. I'm pre-wetting that. Pick up some graphite and bring that towards that edge. Walk it in a little bit. I'm always ending the brush against, parallel to that makeup line, that graphite line I put. Okay. Slide it down and then walk it over. Go over to the other side. Pre-wet, just on the hat. Don't wet the paper background. Pick up some of that paint. Turn this around so I can see it better. Start with the chisel edge against that line. I'm not going to walk this side out as far. I'm going to keep it just to that edge. And then mop it out. I'm going to dry this area because I want to do the brim. So let's pre-wet this brim area. And I'm going to pick up on the corner of my brush some of that graphite. And I'm going to start by doing a sort of a C-stroke here, following the edge of the hat, and then bringing it around, though this time I'm ending flat against the bowl. I'm going to do that over here. Bring it down and underneath that bowl, add some of that color. And then up this side. It doesn't so matter much in here because we're going to be putting something there. And then I'm going to bring it around this side. I'm just going to end it right there for now. mop. If you've created too much of a line there, we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to soften it. More water in my brush. Make sure it's dry. Bring this up a little bit here. I might have softened it a little bit more. Try that. I'm going to bring that color down this side and end it just short of that peak. So I'm going to turn this around, and if I place my brush down with the water part touching the lowest point and bring it up like this, that's what I'm going to do with the paint. Brush at the lowest, the water side of the brush at the lowest point of that brim, and then glide it on up to that circle, to that roundness back there. Again, starting with my water at the lowest point of the brim against that outside edge and walking it up and around. Started with the water end at the lowest point of the brim and walking it up and around. I'm going to turn my piece around, and this time I'm going to start up here in this round, and actually I'll start down here to make it easier. Water end of my brush is going to be against the hairline. Let's start there. Water end of your brush against the hairline, parallel on the hat brim. When you come and slide it toward the outside of the hat brim, you're going to start turning your bristles around so that you end up flat. Water end and the whole chisel edge of the brush is on that line between the hat and on the brim, the hair. And I'm going to start moving it and twisting it around so that it's flat. Put pressure on all parts of the brush, all hairs on the surface all the time, right up to that round edge. Mop it out. Let's blow dry. I'm going to size down to my number 12. So the area between the two that we left off on, I'm going to pre-wet that area and pick up a little corner of my brush and go ahead and just fill that in lightly. You don't have to go all the way to the edge. If you do, you do. If you don't, it's okay. I'm also going to bring some of that color down on either side of the bowl. So we kind of have it here. I'm going to put it over here. And the paint is against the bowl. Blow dry that. Okay. We've got that on here. Now let's take out some lamp black, and I'm going to use my 3/4 inch wash brush again. Pre-wet that left side of the bowl of the hat. Pick up some of that black. Start a little bit on inside the line and then work your way over to that line. And when you bring it down, stop at that chalk line again. If you want to walk this in a little bit, you can, but do not cover all of your graphite. Or try not to cover all of your graphite. If you do, we can go back and add more. With the 12 flat, I'm going to do that on the right side. I'm going to add some water. Pick up on the corner of my brush. You have to turn it around. And I'm going to pull it up. But try and keep it narrower than the other side. Let's mop that out. We can mop this side up too. I said if I got over too far, soften that a little bit. Now let's add that black to the back here. Narrower than what you had. If you want to bring it down just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, to about 1/3 of the way to her hair. I'm going to pre-wet under the bowl, and we're going to go down one side of that. Not that you probably see it, but I want to darken that area. And then I'm going to pre-wet this other side. Pick up the corner. That's going to go against, down there. Wash your brush out. Pick up another load, and this time I'm going to start again where my water touches the hairline and bring it up this way. Trying not to cover all the graphite. If you want, I really don't want to bring a whole lot down here. If you bring any down here at all, and right at that end before you get to that lowest point. Now, I'm going to highlight the, actually, no, we got the black out. So let's go over to our cardboard. I am going to take my number 12 flat, and you can pre-wet if you want. You can double load if you want, whatever it takes. I'm probably going to go in and pick up some grape juice on one corner of my brush and pick up the lamp black on the other corner of my brush. And if you look, I've got both colors on my brush. With the black on the outside edge of each circle, I'm going to try to blend. It might be a little too much, so let's go and pick up, there you go. Pick up grape juice on the whole brush, black on one edge, and the black is going around the circle. And do try to go to the edge but not lose your edge because you need to cut this out. So you need to see that edge. When that's done, cut all of that out. We don't do any shading or highlighting on the leaves. We're just going to cut them out. We're going to take our circles, and I want you to like push down in the middle and pull the paper up around. And I know it's hard to see this. We're going to push the paper up around and make it all squeeze together. And then we're going to open it up.
Change to my other glasses.
Like a poppy.
Oh, pretty.
We're actually going to go to the back sides of these, which is going to be the top side, the black. And I first fold it, pinch it in half, and then I start pinching it together from the tip to the base. So you can squeeze it and then pinch it. Pinch it one way, pinch it the other way, whatever it takes. Remember that dome brush we used, the dry brush? I'm going to pick up some Zinc plus Snow White. So Snow White, Zinc. Make a lighter gray value. On the dry piece of my paper towel, wipe most of that off. You can see that. I wiped most of that off. And then I'm going to come over here, and if you cut the hat in half, I'm going to the right of that center line. So over here, and that's why this is narrower than that side, because we're going to add the highlight by brushing back and forth on this side. And I'm going kind of parallel to here. I'm not going up and down this way. I'm going on an angle this way. I'm also going to add that down the center here in the front, making it wider as you come down to the front of the brim, narrow as you go back. So it's like a triangle. If you want to put a little up here, but really don't do a lot here. Just a little hint, but I want a lot here. So there's a lot of pressure on this, a lot of pressure on that. Not so much on the rest of this. If your highlight isn't as high as you would like it to be, you can go and grab some straight Snow White, wipe the excess off your brush, and then when you touch this down, you're barely tickling the surface and you're staying in the center of what you just put on. You're not going as wide as what you had on there.
Digitaling out it back here, but yeah,
That's
thank
okay.
you.
That's
Okay, so I got that down, I think, but what's next? It's missing something.
Right.
Your cheeks, you can, oh, you didn't do any side loading of the burnt sienna around the face and the inner ear,
Right.
and adding it to her cheeks. So you got to do your around her face, her hairline, under her hat, inner ear. It's all that pre-wet side load thing of burnt sienna.
Burnt sienna stuff. Okay.
Yep. And then you'll be good.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to take my 3 round brush and I'm going to pick up some straight zinc, and I'm going to line the left side. So I start at that curve and I bring it down, and if it doesn't show up, which I see that it doesn't, I'm going to add a little bit of the Snow White to it. And if this brush is too thick, I'm going to end up going with my liner brush, but let's see what happens here. I'll turn it upside down. I'll start at the bowl at the point here, and I'm going to go up the edge. And as I get towards the curve, I'm going to lift off. Because it's going around the back and I'm not going to see it. Pick up a little moisture. I'm going to add a little bit more white to it. And then I'm going to start here and work my way up and disappear. I'm trying to blend it into that side a little bit so it fades away. Come up this side. A little bit of moisture will help it to get into the hills and valleys of the napkin. And then fade away. As it comes around the corner. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit. I'm going to go back, clean brush, pick up some of that white, just barely tap it in the gray. And I'm going to hit just an area like where her hair is, and maybe bring it down a little bit. Well, this hat's a little lower than my hat on the other side. And maybe over here too, in the front here. I'm kind of doing a hit or miss area. I don't know if you can tell that, but I kind of hit or miss some areas here. What I don't want is that little piece right there. So I'm going to go back with a little bit of black, wash that out. We can take a little bit of the straight zinc and we can just kind of give some of that area a little bit of the zinc on the bottom. It just makes it look like it's rolling over, is what we're trying to do here. Make it look like that is kind of rolling. Let's skip the bottom of this. Rolling over. Okay, so that will complete the hat as far as the painting is concerned. We didn't do a highlight on her face. So the highlight, take a dry dome brush if you have it. And I took some white and I just did a little scratching on her nose area, a little over both eyebrows and under her eyes. So that was that highlight. Now what we're going to do is work on the outside of this to get her to come forward and pop a little bit. With my 3/4 inch wash brush, I'm going to pick up some of the lamp black. A lot of water in my brush. And I'm going to start by putting that on the corner. And just kind of walking it in on a diagonal. Do it on this corner. And walk that in on a diagonal. If you want to bring it across the top, you can. You can also start bringing it down the bottom or the sides. Make sure you have a lot of water in your brush when you do this step. I'm also going to do it on the bottom. You can bring it up the sides. Definitely go across the bottom here. And a little bit of moisture. And we're going to go across this diagonal. And bring it up the side. Mop that out. Now we're going to take the color and we're going to go against her. A lot of water in your brush. And I'm going to go down the sides of her face. So hopefully that makes her pop a little bit. If it doesn't, you can go back and add more darkness to the areas if you feel like it's not popping enough for you. Like on the black area over here, I can go a little darker. Tone down those spiders. While that's drying, take out the metallic luster. And on your leaves and your flowers, I'm going to pick up a little bit this on my finger, and then I'm going to rub it around the edges. We have the white edges from the cutting of the paper, and we're going to cover that with this metallic, and you're going to hit the tops of some of the leaves and the flowers with that metallic as well. If you want to hit the back where the purple is, you can do that too, but that's not really going to be seen. So now that this is dry, I'm going to take that same thing and I'm going to start rubbing it over my hat, just gently hitting the raised of my napkin, the raised crinkles of my napkin. And you can put as little or as much as you want of this on here. I wouldn't put it anywhere else. I would just put it on the hat and the flower. If you get some of that metallic flecks here, don't rub them off. What you want to do is try and tap them off, or take your mop brush and wipe them off with your mop brush. You don't want to rub it because then it'll stick on there. You don't want her face to have that. I'm going to show you what I did with mine. What I did was I took a black frame, and it was just a pre-made frame, and it looked like wood. It has wood crinkle lines in it. See that wood grain? And I took my stencil, my spider stencil, and I placed it on my surface. And let's see if I can line this up like so. With my dry dome brush in the Zinc plus white mix, I started to just hit over the, scrub over the stencil onto the wood. So that created my spider webs. So just take a regular black wooden frame and do that to it, and you'll come up with this beautiful design. Then what I did is I put this, I scratched it in here like so. So I put that in there so I could tell where the edge of it was. And so when I cut my feathers to glue my feathers in, it was above the frame and not so that if it got below the frame and I go to put this in here, it won't sit all the way in. It will have a gap. So you want to make sure that you when you glue your feathers on, you glue them on above the edge of the frame. And I'll show you with the canvas. See how there's this gap here? And I didn't do black there, so I had to go back in and paint it black under there. Okay, now I'm gonna plug in my hot glue gun. Piece of tool is, I believe, 9 and something by 6 and 6 or something like that, right? 9 3/4 by, well, this one seems to be almost 6 1/2 or more, but 9 by 6 is good. So if you wanted to cut off the excess, one could do that and make it just squared off if you wanted to. But I suppose it doesn't really matter. We're going to take the long edge this way, the short edge that way, and you're going to fold it, fold 1/2 this way, fold the other half that way, and then you can do the same thing until you have it all gathered in the middle. So the long end goes up and down, the short end is sideways, and you're pinching it together from the top to the bottom. Once you've got that pinched together, I kind of hold it on either side of center. Now what you can do here is you can do this now, or you can hold off and varnish the whole thing and then do this. But I'm going to do it now. Right in the middle, like your line drawing has this circle in the middle. That's where you're going to put a dot of hot glue. Then you're going to place the center of this tooling, and you want to be careful that you don't burn yourself. And if you pull both ends taut, it should go into the hot glue. If it doesn't all catch and you do this and some starts releasing, you go back into those areas, those folds, and you just add a little bit of glue, and then you again pull this down taut. Now, because the hat is going up and down, we need to adjust our fringe up and down. See what I'm saying? We don't want it going straight across. We want it going with the flow of the brim. So I'm going to take my glue gun, and I'm going to, where this is going to bend up, I'm going to put a piece of glue underneath it. And that will force it to go up. Hold that down until it sets up. This is still warm. Now I'm going to do the same on this side. This I don't have to hold up too much. You want to be careful with the glue coming through the tooling on the sides because you're not going to go that far up the sides with your leaves. Now I'm going to place my first petal, if you will, in the center. Hold it down as long as you can without burning yourself. Pick up your leaves and decide how you want to place those. And think about covering up any glue that is there. So you want to cover up that glue. Go ahead and put in some more glue and then stick this in there.
Did you?
Stick some glue on the other leaves and stick those under there. Oh, lovely. Okay, and I'm going to add a pearl. Cool, huh? Now we got to do the feathers. So we have to figure
It's
out.
getting hot and my glue is coming out. This is not.
How much feather. Now remember we have an edge where the frame is going to be coming up. And you can't get just small feathers. You only get long feathers. So if you are not going to,
She's could be long feathers.
if you're not going to put any frame on this, you have the feathers coming out from the bottom. But I tried to pick feathers that were good. What do you think about that? That looks good. Now to snip him. Leave them on here. I'm just going to go right across my glue gun. all these before they. See what it looks like inside my frame. That, can you, I don't know, let me back up. See that? So looks like I could even put more feathers off the side if I wanted to. Oh, I forgot the eyes. We have to do the eyes. After you get your feathers on, you go and take the, where is it? The liquid glass or the glossy accents.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that glossy eye stuff.
I'm using the glossy accents. And I put it over just the whites and iris and pupil, you know, the inner eye part. And let that dry overnight. And it will be all glossy. Like a real eye.
Where's that thing?
The other thing, if you wanted to add some of that silver glitter or the sugar, remember the sugar we have, the diamond dust?
Yes.
You can put gel medium. It's Golden's, G-O-L-D-E-N, Golden's gel medium on your flower and your leaves, and you can sugar it. Be careful on the sugar because it is crushed glass, so you don't want to wipe it or else you'll cut up your hands. Look at that. Is that a doorknob?
No, it was a ring.
That was a ring?
Yes.
Wow.
It was a ring, and it had like one of those elastic bands for your finger. It was so big. It covered like 3 fingers, but it broke. So it's
That's
just
amazing.
It is.
And look at her, how she hides. She's hiding behind the fan. Oh my God, that's awesome. Do you like her? You weren't really a big, big on this, but
I love her, actually. I really do.
I love
it. I love it. All right. Well, Cindy and Ophelia and Kathy and everybody watching, thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. I am so glad that I'm willing to take risks. It's safe risk when you have friends like Cindy and all of you, but this was, it's kind of hard to come out and try something different and a little outside of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad I did in this case. I'm really happy with my painting. I can't believe I painted this, and I'm really happy with how it came out, and thank you so much for all of your patience and guidance. So I'm really looking forward to next week on Paint with Heart. Cindy, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you everyone for showing up tonight or today and also watching on the replays. And please definitely go to the YouTube channel and subscribe and watch and comment on the YouTube videos so that they can rank higher in the YouTube universe. I really appreciate it. Melissa and I really appreciate it. Check out her shows. She has Saturday night at 11:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. It's called Last Night's Show with Ms. Meliz. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of information, a lot of inspiring people that you will be happy to have met because they truly are inspiring to all of us. And that's on Bubbler Media. And Create This is on Bubbler Media on Sundays at 1:30, and that's where I do everything mostly but paint. I mean, there's some painting sometimes, but nothing like this. So you can check out Create This, and that's also on the Bubbler Media YouTube channel. So Until next week, Melissa, everybody remember to always paint with heart. Thank you. Good night.
The thing is about YouTube that I found out when I went to Vid Summit, sorry, not VidCon, Vid Summit is a conference I went to, and I learned a lot about about YouTube. And Cindy and I have been kind of using it just to store all the videos there, but you know, that's a lot of free content. And what meaning is, it's like documentation. It's the whole piece of work. It's all the work that we've done for the past year in the video side of it. It's kind of like having all of your artwork hanging in a store, and it's open and free for the public to come and take it, and nobody's even taking it because they don't even know it's there. And so the way to get people to come and look at it is for other people to look at it and talk about it. So that's what we're trying to do right now, is to get people to come in and look at it. So they don't have to subscribe to the channel or even, you know, really do anything but just watch it. Because the video, the YouTube is run on an algorithm, or like has a brain. It's like a program, computer program in it. And it's based off of what people see. And when they view something, then that triggers a response from YouTube to start showing it to more people. But if nobody ever looks at it, it doesn't show it to anybody. It just sits there. So we need more and more people to just watch it, and that will help it be seen by more people. Does that make sense?
Cool.
Okay. Good night, Cindy. Thank you so much, Cindy. That was awesome.
I gotta say my good nights now.
I know.
So good night, everyone, for joining.